Hey everybody, today we're starting a new series that I hope to do every week or maybe every other week. Now that my team is starting to play some games in the spring, I do a weekly film review of all the games. What I want to do is go ahead and make a theme of something that I see during these games, whether it be positive or negative, and then highlight that in the video. So let's go. So this weekend, my U12s had a warm-up tournament, and we're gonna be talking specifically about some game film I reviewed for that. A couple of the teams that we played this weekend really high pressed us. So we're gonna focus today on how you break a high press, especially at the 9v9 level. So a high press is when the opposing team is committing large numbers forward to defend. Sometimes that can be organized, sometimes it's not organized. I have a video on the channel that shows how I like to high press at the 9v9 level, and I'll go ahead and put that in the link. But this video specifically is talking about how to break a high press. So we're set up here in my preferred formation at 9v9, which is the 4-3-1. That consists of 2 center backs, 2 full backs, a defensive center midfielder, 2 attacking center midfielders, and a striker. So our starting positions, regardless of whether we're getting high pressed or not, look like this. Our 2 center backs are at the edge of the 18. Our defensive center midfielder is right around the arch. Our 2 fullbacks are high and wide up the pitch. Our attacking center midfielders are central, and our striker is high. So when teams press high, it typically looks something like this, where they have usually 3, sometimes 4 guys just outside the 18, and they're pressed up against our fullbacks wide. They typically have 1 defensive center midfielder around the half line and 1 or 2 center backs back here to deal with our 9. So once you recognize that the high press is on, the first thing to do is make the field as big as possible. Doing that takes your center backs getting deep and almost to the goal line here. Like if they're starting up like this, you have to tell them to get all the way back. Fullbacks have to be as wide as possible. I sometimes tell them just go ahead and put 1 foot on the touchline, and they have to stay high. So sometimes what you'll see is a fullback that will start here, and you'll get something that looks like this. And that again just invites pressure and closes the space down even more. The defensive center midfielder needs to stay around the arch. Your attacking center midfielders need to be central. So one thing that can happen frequently is that the attacking center midfielders, they get too wide and they start out here. So you really have to tell them, look, stay central. And once this ball gets played out, they have to start looking for gaps. So how we're going to approach dealing with a high press is to first ask ourselves, is the press organized or is it unorganized? So here's a clip from one of the games we played this weekend, and you can already see that our opponent has 4 guys near the 18. So before we play the ball out here, I'm already suspicious that this is an unorganized press. And the reason for that is that there's nobody marking our fullbacks. As we play the ball out here, my suspicions are confirmed. As you can see, 2 of their defenders go immediately to our center back. In an organized press, you wouldn't have both of the defenders going to the ball. One would pressure and the other would cover. As you can see, despite the initial bad touch, getting out to the wide area is relatively easy against an unorganized press. So this is what this looks like from a bird's eye view. Ball went to our right center back, and immediately what you had was 2 guys pressuring the ball. I think even this guy is starting to come down. So your options here, especially if there's nobody marking your fullback, is to play the ball to the fullback. You might be able to get into a space here with your defensive center midfielder, but there's really no need to take this risk to play this ball in between these 2. If you can play it, that's great. But if the ball comes here, as it did in our example, you can see our attacking center midfielder came over and he was pressed pretty hard. I'm not sure, I don't remember who it was. I think it was their defensive center mid. But even once that happened, he had the ball here and he played a really phenomenal ball out here to our 9. But always in this situation, we need to be looking to switch field and get out the other side. But you can see in an unorganized press, the wide areas become very accessible and have to be exploited. Here's another example during the same game where, again, unorganized, we were able to get out the wide area, find our attacking center midfielder, and move forward down the wide area of the pitch. Here's another example, and you can already see how many players they have committed forward. And one of the things that will happen in an unorganized press is you will get large areas of the field that open up in the central part of the pitch. So we talked about exploiting the wide areas of the pitch in an unorganized press. This is how you exploit central areas, by having your attacking center midfielders recognize the space is open and your goalkeeper recognizes it's open, and you can play direct balls right to your attacking center mid. So here's a team that we played that had a more organized form of high pressing. You can see the way they're already lined up tells you they're probably going to be organized. Their striker is lined up at our 18-yard box, and you can see that our fullback is marked here. Additionally, their spacing is good, and they don't have multiple people right at the 18 ready to pounce. As we play out, you can see their striker is attempting to cut the field in half, pressuring our center back. They also slide over to cover our fullback and our defensive center midfielder. This is a good example of a press that is looking to reduce space for the team in possession. This is a little bit more complicated than when you have to deal with an unorganized press. You can see that the wide area here is covered, as well as our defensive center midfielder. In this situation, there are really only two options. The first one, which is always a good option, is to go right back to the goalkeeper and switch field. The other option is to look for a beyond ball, either to our attacking center mid or all the way up to our striker. You can see here that our center back plays a very nice ball to our attacking center mid, who then looks to try to combine with our 9 to score a goal. So let's look at this from above one more time. The ball again came out to our right center back, and in a coordinated press, the striker came over here like this, trying to cut the field in half. Our goalkeeper needs to come over, providing an angle to get out the other side. The fullback came down as he normally would and was pressed by their fullback. Our defensive center midfielder was coming over, but their attacking center mid pressed, and it looked something like this. Now, our attacking center mid found a good spot here, and what they should have done is had their defensive center mid come with, if that happens, but they didn't. And this ball, what we found out here, got us out into this space. But it would have been just as good to come out here and then try to get out the other side, because there's tons of space on this side of the field. So in summary, guys, when we're breaking the high press, first question is it organized or is it unorganized? If it's unorganized, the ball's out wide, and breaking the press out wide will be your easiest option. The other thing to consider is direct balls from your goalkeeper into the large pockets of space that can open up in an unorganized press. If it's an organized press, look to switch field. Also, the direct balls, either to your attacking center midfielders or to your striker, are going to be there, but the space is going to be smaller. And like always, guys, these are just suggestions. There's many ways to break a press, but these can be the most common ways of breaking a high press. Did you like that video? Check out that one.